Hello, this is Paul Bo Brookins, and welcome to my new video series called How to Play Dwarf Fortress. Dwarf Fortress is a top-down, tile-set-based strategy game where your main objective is to take a small group of dwarfs and materials and settle in a new location on a procedurally generated map and hopefully create a thriving community of dwarfs while fighting off invaders from the outside and a lot of problems from the inside. It's considered one of the hardest games to get into. It's hard to learn from scratch. So I wanted to contribute my knowledge of the game and kind of go over some of the things that you'll want to know when first starting out playing the game, and some of the things you might not know if you have already started. The first thing you're going to want to do is get the game. It's a free game. You can get it on bay12games.com. They ask that you donate if you like the game, which you should if you end up liking the game. But it is free. But I would recommend doing is downloading a utility called the Lazy Noob Pack. I've got it brought up here in Google. If you Google Lazy Noob Pack, it's actually the first result, and it takes you to the Bay12 Forums website where the Lazy Noob Pack resides. There's two different versions of the Lazy Noob Pack. There's the vanilla version and there's the advanced version. And there's not really any reason not to get the advanced version. There's some things that you might not use at first, but there's not really any reason not to have it. So if you click on one of the links, it'll take you to a website where you can download a compressed file, and if you extract that file using your favorite extraction software, it will create the game in whatever folder you point it toward. Go ahead and open up that folder and double click on the Lazy Noob Pack, or you can drag it to your desktop to create a shortcut, obviously. But if you double click it, you will bring up the Lazy Noob Pack GUI. And I'd like to go over some of the settings in the Lazy Noob Pack that you'll want to go ahead and change right away when you're first getting started in the game. The first thing you're going to want to notice is this modification section. There's only one thing in it. It's aquifers. Aquifers are a big no-no when you first get started. I don't know why I said no-no, but you're not going to want to play with aquifers on. Basically, the game is set up into what's called Z levels, and one Z level is just a slice of the map that you're looking at from the top down. And you can switch between Z levels and look at different sections of the map using buttons on your keyboard, but you're going to only be looking at one slice of the map at a time. Aquifers are basically one or more slices of the map that are completely covered in water, and there's not really an easy way to get through them. You can, once you get into the game, there's a way to get through them, but for now you're not going to want to deal with them. They're really bad. They're hard to deal with, and you're going to have a lot on your plate without having to deal with aquifers. So go ahead and turn that off. Hit no. Cave-ins is another thing that you're not going to want to deal with at first. If a section of the map is unsupported, if there's land that has nothing under it and nothing connected to it, then it will collapse and crush anything beneath it, including dwarves, children, animals, invaders, which would be good, but it's just something that you're not going to want to deal with right now. You're actually going to need cave-ins if you're going to want to deal with aquifers, because it's one of the only ways that you can get through an aquifer is through the use of cave-ins. But for now, let's not deal with that. Another thing to take a look at is the population cap. You can change this up and down. I like to have my population cap at about 250. That's just a preference from playing the game a lot. I like to have a lot of dwarfs, but if you don't think your computer's going to be up to the task, you can lower the population cap, because the more calculations the computer has to do on each individual dwarf, on their items, their stats, their movement, takes a lot of calculations on trying to get them navigated through the map. So the less you have to deal with, the less your computer has to deal with in terms of number of dwarfs. So turn that down if you don't think your CPU specifically, is going to be up to the task. Next thing to look at is going to be the child cap. You would think that if you're wanting to create a thriving community of dwarfs, then the number of children would be a good thing. You would want a lot of children so they could grow up and increase your population. But in the game Dwarf Fortress, most of your population increase is going to be from the amount of money you have, which seems weird, but the total value of your fortress increases the number of migrants that want to move to your fort. So you'll get most of your population increase from migrations. Children, they take a long time to grow up. While they're children, they use your resources, and they don't do anything. They can't do anything. You can't turn them on. You can't make them mine rocks. You can't make them, move things around for you. So they're basically useless. So you want to turn down the total number of children. I like the number 30. 30 total children in your entire fort. And there's also a percentage. 1,000 is 10 adults for every one child is the maximum ratio of children. So that's something you're going to want to turn down. Next thing to look at is the key bindings here. You'll want to load the Lazy Noob Pack key bindings if you're going to want to follow along with me. It's a little bit easier than the default. It doesn't change a whole lot, but it makes some of the buttons that you have to press a lot not include the shift button, which is the major difference that I've noticed. It's might not seem like a lot, but using just the keyboard saves a lot of time not having to hit the shift button. It makes it a lot easier to change Z levels like I was talking about before. You don't have to use the shift key to do that in the Lazy Noob key bindings. So the next thing you'll want to look at is the graphics tab here, and you'll want to install the Phoebus tile set if you're going to be playing along with me, and if you want your world to look like my world. It's the one that I use. It's the one I prefer. A lot of people prefer the default ASCII tile set, but I like the changes that the fan-made tile sets have made, and it's what I'm used to. So everyone has their own preference on the tile set, but I like the Phoebus. If you're just starting out, I would recommend that one. Go ahead and hit install. It'll say everything will be changed, and you can update your save files if you have any to use that new tile set. And it'll say this if you have some save games. If not, it'll say you don't have any to update. The next thing to look at is in the Utilities tab. There's several utilities that are useful here, but the one that you're going to want to pay attention to most is Dwarf Therapist right here. It's almost essential in playing the game to be able to use Dwarf Therapist. It basically brings up a list of all your dwarves, all their skills, all their military abilities, all their social abilities, and it allows you to modify the jobs that they do. It's really hard to do the manage the job screen, so manage the jobs that dwarfs are assigned to from the vanilla game. So looking at a spreadsheet with all their abilities and which abilities are turned on and off is really useful. Basically, if you don't turn a dwarf on to... Oh, that sounded weird. If you don't turn an ability on for a dwarf, they won't do that ability. Let's say they're really good at cooking, but you don't have cooking turned on for them, they'll never cook. So if you want to utilize the skill set that the dwarfs that you have are good at, then you'll definitely want to be using this almost the entire time you play this game. The last tab here is the advanced tab, and you won't use a whole lot on this. I'm going to go ahead and turn the sound on, which I never do when I normally play the game, because I'm usually watching another YouTube video or something along those lines. But I'll let you all listen to the music along with my voice when we actually play the game. The other thing to look at is the frames per second counter. Graphical frames per second, you'll not really need them to be any higher than 30, so you can lower that. And the calculation frames per second is actually how fast the program actually runs. I like to run it at 130. You can do anywhere between 100 and 200 safely, depending on the speed of your computer. But if you want to see what's happening and you don't want to pause all the time, you could lower it even lower to maybe 80 or 75, and you can see all your dwarfs and what they're doing, where they're going, and you won't have to pause as often when you're first starting out. I'm comfortable with the game being at 130, but I'm going to run it at 100 for now so that you can see what's going on, and I can kind of explain as it's going on as well. So I think that's about it for all the different settings that you're going to want to use for Dwarf Fortress. And in the next video we will create a new world, and we will find an embark spot. An embark spot is where you start the game. So until next time, I hope you enjoyed the video, and hope you watch the future videos as well. And until next time, we'll see you then. This is Paul Bo Brookins, and we'll see you next time.